Hello and welcome to Take Time. I'm your host, Patrick Marlett, and today we're going to talk about what's inside this box. Oh, whatever could this be? Well, if you read the title to this video, you know very well what's inside this box. Here is the Tockr Air Defender, and that's a massive box. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and open up this sucker off camera and splay its meat and potatoes out for you in just a moment. But before I do that, Terry, if you're watching, special thank you to Terry from Toxic Nados for getting me in touch with the team over at Tockr, and of course Austin Ivy and his crew over at Tockr Watches for sending this piece my way. It has been a while since we've done one of these, but this is part one, our unboxing and first impression of the Tockr Air Defender series Chronograph. Of course, in part two, I'm going to be giving you my thoughts on the piece, but leading up to that video, I encourage you to please comment in the comment section down below with any questions you might have about this piece. Alongside the watch on its bracelet, I received, I believe, every accessory that is made available for potential consumers of the Air Defender series. So if you want to know anything about the leather strap options, of course the bracelet and the watch head itself, feel free to ask those questions in the comment section down below, and of course I'll get to them in our part 2 video. Also note that this is just an unboxing and first impression. I'm going to go over the specifics of the Tockr Air Defender in our part 2 video. So dimensions, of course the movement, loom shots, all that stuff is going to be in part 2. And lastly, a special thanks out to Austin for gifting this piece to the channel. Thank you so much for this watch. I'm very excited to check it out. It reminds me of a chronograph I wanted a long time ago, so hopefully this will satiate that need for that particular chrono. But as this has been gifted to the channel, of course you can take my opinions however you choose. And with that, let's open this sucker up. You did not miss too much there. It was just a giant box with a lot of packing peanuts and bubble wrap all over this guy here, which is presumably housing our package, unless this is some sort of Russian doll affair. So let's go ahead and remove the top. Okay, we've got a little flippy flappy here. No noticeable text anywhere on the outside of this box. Let's go ahead. There's some text right there. You know what? I need to do a little bit of research, but I'm not sure where it got the name Tockr, where they got the name Tockr and why it's spelt that way. But I'm curious now. I like it, having seen it emblazoned on the top of this sort of custom wooden box. But you got like really nice velvety slip for the box, so it wasn't, so it doesn't get damaged in transit. Put that off to the side. And the box itself. Nice sliding lid. I may actually use this for storage. I quite like this setup here. But let's go ahead, slide that off. Now I may readjust the camera in just a moment so we can get a better look at everything in here. But up top side, a bag holding some form of accessory. Let's just go ahead and open that up. Nice. So this is one of the leather strap pairings you can get with the Air Defender series, and of course we'll take a further look at this in our part 2 video, but actually quite dig it. This buckle here is very reminiscent of what Halfston provides with their straps, and it's high quality at that. The strap itself, I'm gonna have to take it off camera to get a better feel for it, but I really like it. It took me all of a second to discern that this is a fine leather strap. Of course, you can see there that these are made in USA, these Hicks straps. And if you take a look at the branding here, you'll notice that this is made in collaboration with that brand for the Air Defender series. I don't know if they've collaborated with this group for other watches in their catalog, but I do know that these are made to fit your order. So very excited to test this guy out. Also, pardon if you hear noises just outside. There's a lot of construction happening in my neighborhood, so if you do hear some sort of rattling, that's what that is. But inside the box, we have, oh yes, our Air Defender. This is the Panda dial option, if you couldn't tell. And off to the side here, we have a rubber strap that also pairs well with this piece. Now note that if you don't like Panda dials, which that's just crazy, there's a blue, black, Hulk, I believe that's what they call their green one, fairly obvious why, and a Silverado dial option. Silverado is a green and silver color configuration. Now at this point, I'm going to go ahead and get the camera reconfigured to get a closer look at this watch. But before we take in the watch, this is going to be very familiar to you if you are a fan of the channel. This is what appears to be an elite silicone strap by Barden, although I don't know if it's made in association with them. However, the build is quite the same. You'll notice that the tail end here has a locking mechanism that works with the secondary keeper here. So there's no way that this is going to drift off your strap. And I really love this strap from Barden, so I can only imagine it'll fare very well on the Tockr we have in today. And of course, you should check out that review if you haven't seen it here on the channel. These are really fantastic straps, the Barden Elite Silicone Strap. And because I want to give you a full glimpse of what the watch looks like straight out of the box, here it is in its wrapping. And they've done a really good job of covering up all of the necessary parts. The bracelet is usually the bit that jangles about and gets the most scratched in transit. You notice the sides of the head here haven't been covered, but this is what it should look like as you receive it out of the box. And of course, I'm going to go ahead and remove all this plastic wrap so you can see what the watch looks like, obviously without it. And here she is, completely unwrapped. This is the Tockr Air Defender chronograph with Panda dial. And whew, man, I, for starters, love the way the bracelet greets the case. The detailing on the bracelet, as well as the end links that greet the case, are phenomenal. And you'd be mistaken into thinking that this was made by Grand Seiko, because just look at that Zaratsu. This is absurd. Like, talk about a mirror-like sheen. Can you see me back here? Hey guys, yeah, they did a smashing job with the high polished accents on not only the case, but the bracelet links themselves. They look really good. And the same goes for the clasp down there, which we'll take a look at in just a moment. Now, before we continue looking at the chassis, I want to go ahead and show off that display case back for two reasons. One, it looks really stellar, and two, there's that custom oscillating wheel on the Valjoux 7750. And you'll notice it looks like a propeller in motion, at least it's made to look like one. That's the impression I'm getting from it. And that's because each piece in Tockr's collection is either aviation inspired or military themed. And this particular piece is themed after timepieces from the 1970s, ones used by military pilots during that era. Hence the name Air Defender. And there is one piece in particular that this watch reminds me of, also of military origin, and that's the Tutima military chronograph with a very similar layout with the Lemania 5100 in regards to the dial, and the case with similar pushers. However, this watch is very much its own beast. The first thing I want to explore with the Air Defender here is that crown over at the 10 o'clock position, and I'm sure many of you are wondering what that does. Well, if you are to unscrew it, you'll notice that the internal ring on the inside is going to start moving, and this actuates that ring, so you can time 60-minute increments on the fly with this crown. And what's nice about it is that it disengages when you push it in, so there's no way of causing that ring to move once it's set to your liking. And when we go ahead and set it right where the minute is and close this guy down, you'll notice that it did not move a single millimeter. It's funny, that internal ring is not too unlike that on my Seiko Pogue here. However, the Pogue doesn't have a separate crown to activate that. You literally just turn the crown in its at rest position. But I've always loved having that additional feature on my watch, so having it here is really excellent. But who are we kidding? This is a chronograph. There are multiple ways to time things on this sucker, and with that top right pusher, we're able to actuate that chrono hand. And of course, we have 30-minute increments recorded at the top. We have a 12-hour recorder at the bottom here, and you'll see that hand click away in just a second. And the 9 o'clock position has a 60-second counter. And of course, I love the seconds hand that distinguishes itself from the other two stick hands by being a giant triangle. It's a really handsome look for this design and great in contrast with the black subdial. Also on the right hand side, we have a day and date function just under the Tockr text, and it's adjusted in the first position. It's a true quick set day and date, so very easy to use that complication. Now, without further ado, why don't I go ahead and get you guys a quick wrist shot of this piece before closing out the video. And here is the Tockr Air Defender on a 7¼ inch wrist. This is what it'll look like for all of your admirers, and of course when you are going to admire it as well. The bracelet itself is really stellar. It tapers quite nicely to the wrist, and You know what? If you ever want to join the Big Watch Club, this is definitely a way to go. It is a heavy, big boy, but it doesn't seem too large on the wrist. I have to give them credit for making this wear really well. And I don't think I have a big wrist, but this guy fits really neatly on it. But I'm also a guy who enjoys the Seiko tuna, so I have SBBN 015. This wears quite similarly to that piece. But there you go. That is the Air Defender on my wrist. All right, gang, that is it for our unboxing and first impression of the Tockr Air Defender. Of course, if you want to see the in-depth review, stay tuned for our part 2 video here over on Take Time. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, feel free to hit that like button. It looks a whole heck of a lot like that guy. If you have friends, forums, or groups that are interested in picking up one of these pieces, well, feel free to share this video with them so they can ask another consumer his opinion of the piece. And of course, if you enjoy watch content, well, guess what? I do videos like this monthly, so if you want to see watch content on the regular, feel free to subscribe to the channel. Again, a special thanks to Austin, Ivy, and the team over at Tockr for sending this my way. Thank you for joining me, guys. My name is Patrick Marlett. I'll catch you on the next one.